So I am Christy Greeley. I am Executive Director and VP of Research for CRN, and I've been in that role and others for the past 20 years. So John and I are sort of the yin and the yang of this, and so he's new, I'm old, and and so this is not my first time giving this talk, nor is it my first conference. It's my 11th conference of CRN, and then other conferences before that when my son Jack was diagnosed in 2001. So it will be the last time that I give this talk, though. So I am retiring from CRN after this conference. As many of you know, I work for Novartis, and I run their patient advocacy in their pipeline, and so I'll be working on the gene therapy program within Novartis. And so I'm stepping away from my responsibilities here at CRN, but it's really been the honor of my life to work with this group and with this community. And so on to the rest of the... Thank you. So Jonathan touched on this too, but what we really wanted to do during this time was take a minute to really focus on what we do as CRN, to thank the folks that do that work, and to highlight some of the offerings that we have as an organization that are here to help you as a community, those that are here, those that weren't able to come. I also wanted to mention, obviously this is a room full of people, and that is really awesome, but we had nearly 400 people register for this conference. We have several people that aren't here. Several people aren't here because they're dealing with the difficulties of cystinosis, are sick, weren't able to come last minute, and that's the reality of what we all live with, and we all respect that, and we all wish them the best, and miss them here. So Jonathan talked about this a little bit before, but CRN was formed in 1996 by Colleen and Jack Hammond. Is Colleen Hammond in the house? No? Yes? She was here last night. Anyway, Colleen and Jack formed CRN in 1996. We have a vision of acceleration of a cure, development of improved treatments, and really enhancing the quality of life for those living with cystinosis. Almost all volunteer. We've developed a staff that you guys have all met at our registration desk who are really awesome and are really a part of the community. So how do we work? So we have a board of directors that's made up of an executive committee and then general directors, and then we have support through consultants that I mentioned. We also have a scientific review board and medical advisory and professional advisory committees that really function to help us guide what we do, help with things like this conference. So all the speakers that you see, at our conference, these are all our volunteer professional advisors. We're so grateful to them for their time, their generosity of really their time and their talents to this community, and really helping us, sort of get together and understand. And they also help with things, like all the guides and brochures that you see. That's all out of their great minds, and they help us produce those things. So we're very grateful to that. So this is our current board, who's outgoing. We just had our full board meeting just prior to this meeting, and we voted a new board, but I just wanted to recognize, I won't run through all this because Jonathan mentioned everyone, but I just want to say a big thank you to this board. It's been an incredible group to work with. We've been working on this conference in particular since last September, essentially, and it's been a real labor of love, and I can't thank these folks enough. And this is a similar picture to the one that Jonathan sent, but this is in my backyard, taken by my daughter last fall when we really started to work in earnest. You'll see two of our consultants that you've probably met at the registration desk, Allison Goldberg and Claire Johnstone on the corner of that. And I want to also call out Dana Marshall, who's I'm sure not in the room because she's running around making sure that the meeting runs really smoothly, and we really are so grateful to have her on our board. So I did want to announce, and we've talked about this a little bit, but this is our new board for this upcoming year. President will remain John. VP of Research will now be Christina Seville, so she's taking over that piece of my responsibilities. Super grateful for that. VP of Education and Awareness will remain Mary Beth. VP of Family Support will now be Chelsea Meshke. I don't know where Chelsea is, but she's taking over that function from Jen Wyman. This is really great. Treasurer remains Tim, Secretary Karen. who wasn't able to join us for this weekend as well because of a family issue, so we miss her. And then our new executive director will be Claire Johnstone, who you saw in the picture, who many of you know. She's been a consultant for us for over 10 years. It's really a part of our community, and we view her as a family member. She's one of the most amazing partners that we have, and she and Jonathan will do an amazing job in leading this organization. And then our rest of the board involves our directors. Carol, Megan, and Gail are returning. We are very pleased to welcome Heather Rothrock as our new board member. I don't know where Heather is in the audience. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for joining the board. Terry Schluter is coming back to the board. She's a frequent flyer on the board of directors for CRN. She's come back, and we're super grateful for that. Herberth is staying on the board. Jen Wyman is moving to a board of director position, and then Sarah Healy remains as our A-Lab, that's our adult group representative. And then these are our consultants that we work with that we've mentioned. Ella works with our A-Lab, and then the other functions listed there. So what are our key areas of focus? So this is research, family support, and education awareness. And for me, this is what really differentiates CRN, generally in the cystinosis space. So we all want to fund research, and we do. We all want to support the families. You're seeing an example of that now, and that's something we continue on. But we really also focus on education and awareness, and that shows up in several different ways. The way that you're probably thinking, educating families, medical professionals, that sort of thing, but also in rare disease advocacy, and you'll see a lot of examples of that here at the conference, and I'll speak to it in a little bit more detail now. So this is sort of generally what our research function does. We have calls for proposals. We have funded close to $7 million in research over the lifetime of CRN, so I think that's pretty impressive. We often fund up-and-coming researchers, students. We've funded a Cystinosis Fellowship at the NIH that Galina Nestorova was part of, and that Bill Gall spearheaded for us. And that function will now be led by Christina Seville, and so we're looking forward to her jumping into that role. Part of this function that's also really interesting is that we have a lot of interaction with our colleagues in Europe, and so the Cystinosis Network Europe, all of the organizations in Europe and really globally that work with them. And so we find it really important that, due to the rare nature of cystinosis, that we're constantly working with our colleagues internationally, and that we participate in that cystinosis advisory board that is run through CNE. And I just wanted to highlight our advisory board members, many of which are here. This is our scientific review board. And then these are our medical and professional advisors. We literally could not do this conference without all of these folks, and super grateful for them as always. So development. This is what John leads. I had mentioned we've raised almost $7 million over the course of our existence since 1996 when the Hammond started CRN. We do that through a variety of types of fundraisers. So partnership with our industry partners, sponsorships that they provide that support this conference and other activities that we do, but also, and equally as important, are the grassroots fundraisers that we do. There have been so many family fundraisers over the course of the year. They can look a lot of different ways. It can be a 5K, a golf outing. It can be a birthday letter campaign. It can be a Facebook fundraiser, and all those are so impactful, so important. It spreads the word about cystinosis, and it helps support the good work that we do. So we really are appreciative of that. And that's, of course, led by John, and we do have fundraising resources available. So if anyone is inspired to have some kind of fundraising activity, look for John. He's not hard to find, and he's taller than everyone else, and he can help you with that journey. So family support. This will now be led by Chelsea Meshke, as I mentioned. There's a lot of stuff that our family support function is in charge of, and many of you have probably been contacted by someone, by Jen, Christina, Chelsea, others along through the years, to really connect you with other families, to provide you with whatever information you need. And so we do that in a lot of different ways. We have written materials, we have materials on our website, we have a lot of different social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We have closed Facebook groups where you can feel confident that you can have conversations with other people, ask questions. And so our family support team really makes sure that that is, always including new information, that it's open to everyone, and that those things run smoothly. We're also looking at, in the past, many of you may remember that we've done regional family gatherings where we've gotten people together in between these big meetings and done that regionally, so in cities around the country. So we're hoping to do that next year. More information to come. Education and awareness. So I talked a little bit about this. Part of this is sort of, and this is led by Mary Beth Krummenacher, and part of education and awareness has to do with providing information, right? The things that you would think of naturally. That would be, the guides and brochures that you've seen out at the desk, the things that we have available on our website. But it really also has to do with making sure that, the cystinosis community has a part in the rare disease community more generally. And Jonathan touched on that, the attendance that we have at Rare Disease Week, the membership that we have in the umbrella organizations like NORD, Global Genes, Every Life. We find these are really impactful, and we find that it's a really important thing for us to do. Jonathan alluded to the fact that this community, for a community that has maybe 600 folks in the US, maybe 2,000 more or more worldwide, that we have 4 approved treatments, other things in development, is amazing. And I see it through my day job work, that most rare disease communities don't have anything that looks anything like this. And we're lucky to have the people that we have dedicated to finding even more improved treatments. And so part of the work that we do is to network and share our knowledge with other emerging rare disease communities. But also, we're always looking to improve the existence of people living with cystinosis. And so that activity really helps with that. I also want to highlight that we are involved in Rare Disease Day activities, like Jonathan mentioned, Rare Disease Week on Capitol Hill, other things. And of course, Cystinosis Awareness Day. We sort of just made up a day for May 7th, which made sense because of the most common deletion that causes cystinosis. My colleagues in Europe will tell me that that is opposite, and that it should be July 5th due to the way that they use the date convention in Europe. My apologies, we're very US-centric. But anyway, so we have a lot of activities that go on as part of that, and you've all seen them, and there'll be new stuff going on next year. So I wanted to mention the Adult Leadership Advisory Board. This is a board comprised entirely of adults living with cystinosis, and they have the mission of sharing stories and strength to educate, motivate, and empower the entire cystinosis community through partnership with CRN, other organizations, and they focus on issues and challenges through developing programs, opportunities, and mentorship. So they have fundraisers. They have an excellent podcast. If you haven't checked it out, it's really good. They administer the Cystinosis Memorial Fund program, and they've had a variety of cystinosis sessions, so ways for adults to connect virtually through Zoom meetings. They have a lot of programming going on at this conference. They have their board meeting. They'll be having a meetup tonight for adults and teens too. I think it's 6:30 to 7:30 as a way to connect everyone and make sure everybody has someone to hang out with tonight and make sure everybody knows each other. They'll also be hosting a session tomorrow, and that'll be a session really for all adults and teens living with cystinosis to come and give their ideas and feedback on what they've been doing and other issues that they'd really like to have addressed within the community. And this is the list of folks that are currently involved. If you have an interest in joining ALAB and you're not already involved, please reach out to me, anyone on the board, ask me, or any of these folks here. So how do we fit in? I'd alluded to this, that we work a lot with, sorry, looking at the time. We work a lot with our international partners. So you can see there are a lot of other organizations, both in the US and internationally. Many of these international global groups work with Cystinosis Network Europe. My colleague Anne-Marie O'Dowd is here, and Denise Dunn. They run Cystinosis Ireland and also help lead CNE. And so they have a conference in the off year. Denise will talk a little bit more about what they do. But we find it really important for us to have these relationships and work hand in hand with these organizations, because with a rare disease like cystinosis, we know that we cannot just focus on our own countries, that we need to really work together. So the global organizations, there are tons of them, right, that touch rare disease, and CRN is a part of all of these to one extent or the other. They're partners with us. We attend their programming. We participate on committees that they have. Most recently, as an example, two of my board members, so Megan Worrell is joining a policy committee for Every Life, which is very exciting, and Herbert Sigler has just completed the training, and he'll be serving on an NIH institutional review board, an IRB. So we're very proud of them, for the work that they're doing in the greater rare disease community. We have many industry partners. So Jonathan had mentioned this early on. We're so grateful to them. I've listed them out here. Most of everyone in this room knows, but Horizon, Leadiant, and Recordati have graciously sponsored this meeting. Other industry folks that are involved in the cystinosis community. I mentioned my employer, Novartis, has acquired the cystinosis lentiviral gene therapy from AbroBio, and we'll be working on that project. And then specialty pharmacies, which you're all very aware of, that help distribute these medicines. So in conclusion, I just really want to thank everyone. Jonathan had the honor of showing that great video. I've been a part of planning all of those conferences. I mentioned that's really the joy of my life. I use this picture a lot, the one on the left, the black and white one. My daughter Alex is here. Jack has a little cold, he's upstairs. But you all can relate to that picture and what Jack looked like. That was right after his diagnosis at Rush Hospital in Chicago. He has an NG tube. Not a great time in our lives, but you can see, fast forward 22 years, that was just 6 weeks ago. Jack and Alex and I up at Marquette, he finished his undergraduate degree, which we mentioned during introductions last night, so thank you. So I in part show this because I see the younger families, and I know what a struggle it is early on and after diagnosis, and how difficult it can be. But life can change, and being at these conferences is a big part of making sure that happens, and educating yourself, connecting to other people, and doing really the best you can, for your child, and whatever that best life is going to be for them. It's there. We can help you, and we want to. And I think that Jack graduated this year is a good end to my journey with CRN, and I just want to thank John and my board and everyone here. And there's a lot of my former board members here, and I know John had you stand up and recognize you. And I'm looking at the Larimores, I'm looking at Ina, the LeBeaus are here, the Julians are here, just so many, and Colleen, who I've mentioned. And I'm so grateful for their support over the years. They've been great partners for me. They've allowed me to be part of this journey. And so I'm going to be hosting the rest of the morning, but I just want to say thank you to everyone here. Thank you to my doctors, to my board members, and to my friends here.